Hi, everybody. Richard Tromans here again, artificial lawyer. Doing a special interview today to celebrate the new funding round of Wexler. With me is Gregory Mostyn. Hey, first of all, tell us about how much money you've bagged and who from.
Yeah, so we've raised $5.3 million, led by Pear VC, who are a Bay Area-based seed fund, one of the most eminent seed funds in San Francisco, alongside Seed Camp, who have a number of legal tech investments already, and the partner there, Tom, is an ex-lawyer, and have been very, as well as having a bunch of massive investments, Revolut, Wise, UiPath, etc. And then the legal tech fund, who I'm sure will be familiar to your listeners.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And this is seed, pre-seed, A. What is it?
It's sort of a late seed, I suppose. We're a bit ahead in terms of we're a lot ahead in terms of traction of most seed companies. But yeah, I wanted to raise now, sort of expand to the US. Need capital to develop and grow in such a fast moving market. So I decided this was an opportune time to sort of put down some roots, expand the team, expand the product offering, and really with the focus on tackling the biggest market, which is the US, without losing focus on our existing European customers as well as those in the APAC region. But really, yeah, to win in the US, you need capital, and that's why we've made the decision to fundraise.
Yeah. And I remember, I think I was probably one of the first people you chatted to, at least in the
Yeah.
media, calling up and saying, "Oh, I've got this new legal tech product." And you've come a long way very fast. So when did you, just to remind everybody, when did you launch?
Yeah, so we launched publicly last April, which I think was also around the time when we spoke, and maybe a little bit before that. Essentially, before that, we were sort of building in stealth. I think it's an interesting, the traditional thinking in startups is sort of build a scrappy product and release it, an MVP style situation, but that just doesn't work in this market, especially when you're building something as nuanced and specialized as litigation. It really needs to be good. And so we spent a lot of time in customer development, speaking to our customers, understanding exactly what kind of pain points they wanted us to solve. And we took on a lot of advice. As you may know from last time, my father, who's a high court judge, was very involved in that initial build. And yeah, it started off as a tool just for building chronologies and essentially extracting the facts in litigation. And it's become this fact intelligence platform, we call it, which essentially is really solving the world's most complex disputes by compiling the factual record, looking for inconsistencies. And now with this new release, actually the new paradigm, which is also ingesting audio. So
Hmm.
transcribing
Oh, well, it's
depositions,
very
interviews. Yeah.
it's very timely that we're doing this this interview in this way. Then it's perfect.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can try and apply Wexler to this interview. I think that would be interesting. So
I
so
could do.
ju- so just to remind people, so you know where is the moat? Where is the added value? People might say, playing devil's advocate, oh well, yes, but there are other tools that can do this. Where's Wexler sort of forging its own path?
I think there's a couple of key differentiators. The soundbite I always say is we're a scalpel, not a Swiss Army knife. So we go really deep into specific workflows. We build custom workflows where the human is kept in the loop, which operate at a fact level rather than document level. So in comparison to e-discovery, which essentially might prepare documents for human review, Wexler actually reads the documents like a human does, picks out the key factual insights, i.e. the events inside those documents. Even if it's buried on page 993, hidden in a footnote of an attachment, we'll pull that out, enrich it, establish why it's important to the issues in the case, and allow the user to verify and sort of manipulate and use that data going forward. So it's a question of reading documents at a fact level, the scale with which we can operate. Wexler can actually ingest 500,000 documents with that level of detail, which is pretty, I think, without parallel for a Gen AI native platform. Yeah, it's about going really deep into specialized workflows and building things with the nuances, complexities for dispute resolution, where the fact patterns are so varied, not just as an afterthought applied to something which really has been trained for transactional work and litigation to the crowbar in afterwards. So yeah, I suppose those are the kind of thing where I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, it sounds very useful. I mean, one thing, and I'll ask it because obviously lawyers will ask it anyway, because
Yeah.
it's it's something they need to ask, which is, hold on a minute. So this is using generative AI. This is all
Yeah.
about facts. How do we
Yeah.
know the facts are facts? And it hasn't imagined that Brad Pitt is somehow involved in this case, and he's not.
Well, this is where you have to build an intelligent UI, which essentially allows the lawyer to verify the fact that's been extracted within milliseconds. So we actually have a document viewer, which can rifle through a 10,000 page document in basically under a second to scroll to the correct page so the lawyer can really quickly see exactly the paragraph, the section, the sentence that it's been taken from, essentially. So you have a doc viewer with a highlight. It shows you exactly where it's been taken from, shows you the thinking of why it's been applied to the case, i.e., why it's relevant. And so, yeah, every single time you see anything in Wexler, it always has a source and a citation. And it's built without making it really onerous and time consuming to do so. It's built around the human verification of AI output. And that's what it has to be. Because, as you say, you need to have that expert human to be able to verify the output and develop it.
But broadly, you don't need to do that with everyone because I guess if you had to check every single fact, it would
Yeah, of course.
not completely, but it would reduce the efficiency.
I think the thing is, like, we have extensive evals. We've done a huge amount of testing, and it's broadly extremely accurate. Like, we can't say it's completely accurate because, of course, there are nuances. There's no fabrication to the point where it won't like hallucinate of the kind of word du jour, but essentially, it won't hallucinate that Brad Pitt is in the case. You know, you getting really stuck in complex legal language. You need to correct. You need to be comfortable and sort of verify that at the point of producing the final piece of work product. So it's not when you're sort of filtering through reams and reams of facts. It's when you get to that final piece. It's not just about correcting it for accuracy, but it's about writing it in your own style. It's about developing it. It's about making a first draft into something that you have put your own, Richard Tromans stamp on, which is exactly the way it should be. And that process actually helps the lawyers get better at understanding the case. So it's not just about correcting and verifying. This human in the loop part of the process actually makes the humans become experts. So it's not just, oh, the AI told me so. They can actually speak to their clients or in court, with confidence.
And can you customize it? Could you say, I've got one of my junior associates, or if you're a barrister, one of the junior barristers to go through it using this system, but I'd like to look at it through a particular lens. I want to look at it in relation to X or Y
Yeah.
legal concept in
Yeah.
particular. Let's say, or
Yeah.
if you're a judge, for example, and you want
Yeah.
to put your particular frame over this data, can you
Yeah.
do that?
Absolutely. So basically, when you upload the set of documents, you can give it a list of issues, the axes by which you want to analyze the documents. What it will then do, it will analyze all the facts, it will classify them as relevant, maybe relevant, or irrelevant to those issues. And it will also tag each fact if it's appropriate to do so with those issues. So, breach of contract, theft of IP, whatever it is, it will tag based on that list of issues. You can also upload the claim form or the complaint, and our system will automatically extract the issues if you choose it to do that way. Or, as you say, you might just want to analyze it with reference to one specific issue because that's, let's say it's a public inquiry and there are 10 different, defendants and you only care about one specific thing, you can analyze it with reference to that specific issue. So, yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. And are there any, obviously without mentioning any names, so aside from family members, are there any judges using this?
We've had a lot of judges extensively testing the product. We're currently trialing with and getting really good feedback with the barristers chambers as well. So we are actually expanding into the bar, which is a great vote of confidence given that they're exacting standards. So yeah, I think absolutely we've had a lot of judges using it, testing it in the UK and the US, and we are commercializing into the bar, which is interesting because I don't think there's not been much legal AI that's had traction in the bar so far.
Oh no, it's hard. I mean, we could do a whole chat on why it's
Yeah.
difficult to get tech into the bar. But as people know, or if they don't, if they're not in the UK, we have a split profession: solicitors and barristers. Barristers generally work in chambers.
Uh-huh.
Each individual barrister is truly independent, and you could have
Uh-huh.
two barristers sitting in the same room working
Against
on
each
the
other.
same case, but on different sides of that matter, which a lot of people find quite extraordinary. But because of that, it's
Exactly.
quite difficult to have large scale tech implementations, certainly which
Yeah.
involve data,
Yeah.
because for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's great that you're doing that. On the US side of
Yeah.
things, so you'll have an office, or do you have an office already in America?
We don't have an office yet, but we are regularly in the US, going out for trade shows, visiting customers, closing deals. Part of this funding is going to be used to hire employees in the US, basically set up an office over there. And as we expand through the funding rounds, we'll be developing our imprint even more. I think it can be managed UK to East Coast. So I am heading out there every couple of months to visit customers, spending time in person. Better than a lot of tech companies going to San Fran. That is a lot more challenging given most of the big law firms are DC, Chicago, New York, Boston. It's manageable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, we hope to see you at Legal Innovators New York in November
Yes.
in several
Yes,
weeks.
for for sure. I've got a call
And
actually.
also California next June, which is, it may
Definitely.
not be the legal center of the world, but it's definitely the legal AI center, I think.
No, I think
Anyway,
that's true.
well, one of them. So, final point, really, where do you go from here? And so, how many people, how
Yeah.
many staff are you these days?
How many staff? How many staff did you say? So we're about 12 at the moment and expanding rapidly. So as well as advisors who you'll know, like Atara Waters, who's a formal advisor to the business, and various other people who operate on a fractional basis. So somewhere between 12 and 20, depending on which people we've got data labeling and people involved in various different projects we're running. So yeah, some sort of lean but mighty. And I think actually it's amazing what you can now do with AI and be so, as you'll
Mm,
know, be so much more productive from a technical perspective. I saw, Ross McNairn's post about his new release where all of the code was written by AI, and we're definitely leveraging that to increase productivity in the team without having to hire extensively, which is a really interesting time to be building a startup. So yeah, in terms of where we go, it's just like doubling down on this vision of becoming the platform for litigation AI, expanding the scale to millions of documents from 500,000. We're already getting there soon, as well as more custom use cases for analyzing depositions, reviewing testimony, preparing for trial, specializing in different jurisdictions potentially, and maybe even in the future applying the law to the facts, because obviously that's the next step. Once you've got the factual matrix, is to then apply the law to that. But for now, really focused on just building more functionality around cracking the facts in the case, building a winning case strategy, second level review after e-discovery, and all early case assessment, basically anywhere in the dispute that isn't the core of the disclosure discovery process. So
gotcha.
yeah,
And just very last question, just for the LLM geeks out there, what
yeah,
Gen AI systems are you using?
yeah,
I presume you're using the major large language models. Are you using
yeah.
anything else?
Yeah, so it's model agnostic, basically daisy chaining together multiple different models in a LLM pipeline, which I think is, how, our neurosymbolic approach, if you want a buzzword, which basically is how we've, made the LLMs do the finite amount of reasoning they can per step. So we have our kind of worker models, which tend to be GPT 4.0, Gemini 2.5 Flash. Then we have the higher reasoning models, which might be Claude 4, Gemini 2.5, or GPT 5, which we are using. Although actually we that the evals for GPT for Claude 4 for the production of the answers we find to be a lot more concise than GPT 5, interestingly, but we are still using it in some areas. And so yeah, when you upload documents, it goes through this kind of stitched together pipeline, and then it has all of these documents and facts extracted in an index, which you then can go back and retrieve and query again using a graph RAG system. So yeah, it's a very technically complex and sort of deep pipeline, if you like. But yeah, that's how we've kind of built this thing where facts are the oil that powers the product. Facts are the gold.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Fantastic, Greg. Good stuff and good luck. And no doubt we'll hear more from you soon. Take care.